Active support underpins the successful implementation of positive behaviour support because it focuses on improving the quality of life of people and matching the support to the individual to reduce the need for them to use their challenging behaviour. Challenging behaviour tells us important things about the quality of a person's life. Positive behaviour support brings together the humanity of person-centredness and the objectivity of behavioural approaches in pursuit of the understanding of why challenging behaviour occurs. And it focuses on the development of proactive strategies. So those are the things that which make it less likely that the behaviour will occur in the future, as well as developing reactive strategies that help those involved to cope when behaviour occurs in the meantime. Active support underpins positive behaviour support because of its emphasis on systematic changes to the whole environment and in the way that services focus on promoting the quality of life for the people that they support. And that's a critical element in reducing challenging behaviour. So because active support recognises and responds to people's needs for consistency and predictability, because it provides a sensitive and flexible kind of help for people to engage successfully in everyday activities and relationships, because it enables people to make choices and exert control over how they lead their lives on a day-to-day basis, it creates conditions in which challenging behaviour genuinely reduces. So where positive behaviour support is needed, its effective implementation is often dependent on a number of service characteristics and the support skills that are inherent in active support. So that includes things like objective assessment, analysis, monitoring and evaluation, and coherent and realistic planning for people. So it's a really important thing that we actually need to think about active support along with positive behaviour support.
And again. I bet it's a sharp knife, sweetheart. Let go. You eat that one, let's chop this one.
So seeing that clip is really quite scary, and that feels like significantly challenging behaviour, something that we might need to do something about. The first interesting thing about that is that actually you need to know the background here. You need to know a bit about Robert. And Robert, this hugging thing that he does frequently through the day in all sorts of kind of environments and situations with all sorts of different people. In this situation, it's challenging because he's holding a knife. And it's only in this situation. And I think there are people out there that would therefore go, let's never let him near a knife again. Let's make sure we avoid those sorts of things. But actually that's not challenging behaviour in that way. It is about managing that risk. What's great about this clip is that the staff member stays completely calm. And actually just goes with it. She doesn't tense up and try and pull away. That would make it worse. She flows into it and she just kind of coaxes him out of that. She accepts it as part of what's happening. And that's a brilliant response. It's a brilliant reactive response to what's going on, is that she just goes with the flow and she moves on. She moves straight on to the next thing. It doesn't interrupt things, it doesn't stop things happening. And that's the sort of thing that, if we can make that happen for people, if we can know enough in advance about what might happen to be prepared for it, but then go with it when it does. So that actually the whole point is to get back to calm and get back to what we were doing in the first place.
You alright?
Don't kiss it, bastard.
Don't kiss him, no.
No.
All better.
No! No, bastard twats!
Owl babies. Who's in here? Eh?
No!
Once there were 3 baby owls, Sarah, Percy and...
Bill.
They lived in a hole in the trunk of
the bastard.
tree with their owl mother. The hole had twigs and leaves and owl feathers in it.
It's gone.
It was their
Bastard.
house, wasn't it? It was. One night they woke up and their owl mother was gone. Where's Mummy? Said Sarah. Oh my goodness, said Percy. I want my mummy, said
Bastard.
Bill. The baby owls thought. All owls think a lot. I think she's gone hunting, said Sarah.
Bastard.
To get us our food, said Percy. I want my mummy, said Bill.
Bastard twice.
Wow, who's this? But the owl mother didn't come. Oh, where
Bastard.
they gone? The baby owls came out of their house and they sat on the tree and they waited for their mummy. A big branch for Sarah, a small branch for Percy. Oh, and what's Bill sitting on? Bill's sitting on some ivy. She'll be back, said Sarah. Back soon, said Percy. I want my mummy, said Bill.
Three kind of things that I think they're interconnected, but are really important about the support that Jacob receives. The biggest issue of all, really, and that covers all of it, is his need for structure and predictability. It's the thing that makes the biggest difference to him. When things have been bad in Jacob's life, it's been because things have been chaotic and confusing for him. The way his brain works is that he needs those things to cling on to feel that actually he can cope. And when he begins not to cope, then he'll do things that mean that by himself he achieves some predictability, but then it's all too easy for him to get stuck in that and end up in a sort of situation that doesn't do him any favours at all. So the work that Mel and the team have done over the past kind of couple of years, well, year really, has been focused particularly on almost it doesn't matter what, as long as Jacob's okay with it, but that we can put it in a structure that means that things can make sense to him, events over time. So the trampolining that Jacob went to this morning, Jacob is reasonably happy about doing that. He quite enjoys it. He didn't bounce for very long. It was only kind of 10 minutes or so, but the fact that he's kind of okay with that means that it's something they can slot in this structure. And that's the most important thing. As long as the support that Jacob receives is in that coherent, measured pattern of events, that means that things make sense to him. And so related to that is the difficulties that that quite often people experience when they first support Jacob, which is that sometimes it feels like we're not giving him choices. Choice is a very important thing. In lots of ways, there are things that Jacob can't really make any choices about, at least for the time being. And so sometimes he'll kind of express a discomfort with something, or say he doesn't want to do it, or kind of withdraw. And staff will need to work at retaining as much of the structure as they can within that, so that they maintain those things. If Jacob really doesn't want to do it, then they know that there's a point, and he'll make it quite clear, and they know they've got to go with that, and that's fine. But up to that level, they'll be trying to maintain as much of the structure that they know works for Jacob. And that can sometimes feel like we're overriding his choices. I think the bottom line is that if we don't retain as much of that structure as possible, Jacob doesn't really get any meaningful choices about anything. So by trying to stick to that, unless he's really clear and it's a no, then he actually has more opportunities for making choices than he would if every time he said no, or every time he walked off, or every time he refused something, that we just went with that, because that way leads to chaos and mayhem, and that just makes things worse for Jacob. And the third bit that connects with that is there's quite a few things in the support for Jake that are sort of left over from his childhood. He's only 20, but he does things like staff will read stories to him, and they're board books. They're sort of definitely juvenile, and they'll sing nursery rhymes with him, and a range of different things like that. And in general, within our field, we would want to be moving away from those as a person grows up. But it's, in Jacob's case, it's another example of things that we can do that mean that he understands how things work. So lots of the stories that get read to him, he knows them word for word. And if you say the first 4 words in a sentence, he'll finish the last with the last word. And that's reassuring for him. It means that he knows, he's got that sense of, I understand how this is working, I understand how this fits together. That brings his level of anxiety down. whilst we haven't got a whole massive range of things that we can use that allow us to do that, we have to use what we've got. The things that make sense to Jacob now are the things that we need to use. Over time, there'll be other things that he experiences that are more in line with his chronological age. But while we need to use whatever we've got, because the bottom line is, it's got to make sense to him. It's got to be a structure that works for him, that means that he can manage that level of anxiety. And those things, the lack of choice, or so it seems, or the use of childish games, stories, books, videos, songs, can feel uncomfortable. But what people need to understand is we're doing that for a purpose, and that's that bottom line of structure and predictability.